Welcome back to Crazy Dave's Crew. I'm Laura and you're watching Thursday Threads. Today we want to put together just a smidge more difficult of a block. It's called the Hope of Hartford. So don't go away. I hope you'll enjoy it. To do the Hope of Hartford, you need, and for me I'm doing black as my background so it goes along with all my other stars that I've been doing all along. So I'm going to need a 6 1/4 by 6 1/4 inch black. I need 4 3 by 5.5 inch rectangles in my black. I need 1 3 by 3 square. I need 2 5 7/8 by 5 7/8 squares, and I chose yellow. And I need 1 6 1/4 by 6 1/4 inch square of green. Well, the first thing I'm going to do is kind of put all these off to the side. So I'm going to take my 6 1/4 inch black and my 6 1/4 inch green, and I'm going to cut them into 4 triangles. Corner to corner. And corner to corner again. So I've got 4 blacks and 4 greens. Put those over on the sewing table. Put my blue square on the sewing table, and my 4 3 inch by 5.5 inch rectangles are going to go on the sewing table. But let's take our yellows. These are the 5 7/8 inch blocks. I want a 1 cut from corner to corner. So my yellow is 5 7/8 by 5 7/8, and I'm just going to cut it from corner to corner 1 time because I want 4 pieces. Okay, let's go back to the sewing table. Well, we want to make our little triangles into a half of a square, okay? I want my black to go on the bottom here. So I've got my green on this side, I've got my black on this side, and I'm going to start at this corner and then go down to the point. I don't know about y'all, but if I start at the point, it just doesn't seem to do as well. If you're doing the assembly line process, which I love, you may want to pin these up. But I learned, when it's a new block, you might want to just do 1. Don't try to do the assembly line until you've gotten 1 and you know exactly what you're doing. I don't, it's not that that's ever happened to me much. So I am using my 1/4 inch piecing foot. And for those of you who ask what kind of machine I have, this is the Brother Project Runway, a limited edition CS 5055. Just your standard old sewing machine. So I'm just going to do these. Like I said, I've got black on the bottom, green on the top, and I'm starting at my 90-degree angle. I'm just chaining these. I'll just a lot of times I just kind of show you how the pieces go together, and I think this time I'm gonna let you see how quickly this goes together. We will do this whole block. And like so many of them, they look difficult, but they're not. So we're going to press these open, and we're going to press to the dark side. So let's do that. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Well, I bet you know what we're going to do next. Yep. We're going to take our yellow and we're going to attach it to each of our black and greens to make a square. Easy peasy, right? And this time you may want a pin. I'm going to pin, I think. I don't like my stuff moving around, and I know how I sew. So only you can know if you need to pin or not. For me, it's a err on the side of caution. I would much rather take that few seconds to pin than to have to spend all that time frogging. I love that term, frogging. Because you rivet, rivet, rivet. And I am wanting to make sure that my seam still goes to the dark side. Do the other 3. This time when I press, I'm going to press it away from the multiple seams. So I'm just going to press it to the light, to the yellow. And that's just really because if we pressed it this way, there'd be extra seamage, there'd be a little bit of bulk. So I'm going to press it towards the least amount of seams. And this is a, but wait, there's more kind of moment. So, we've got our black up here, our green, our yellow. We're not quite done. There's a little bit more, but before we do, let's trim these down to 5 1/4 inch blocks. And I'm going to start with this seam because that's the one that's going to be a little bit more difficult. I want to make sure that's in the center. And of course, if you want to think about, well, what's half of 5 1/2? Well, 2 1/2 and 2 1/2 is 5. So 2 3/4 and 2 3/4 equals 5 1/2. So I'm going to want this center right here, where all my seams match up, to be 2 3/4. And then just let's kind of twist that just a little bit so we've got some straight lines. So 2 3/4 right on that center. And 2 3/4 right at the center, and my diagonal line is following along. One down. So dead center 2 3/4. And that moved just a little, so let's there we go. Two 3/4 with my line on that line. And I want that line going through there. Yep. And we're not taking much off at all. There's still sometimes when I forget to rotate this little mat. I love this mat, and sometimes I forget what it does. Isn't that funny? You get so used to doing something, and 3 down. Last one. There we go, now I remembered. Oh, let's get all that out of the way too. So let's take our 3 by 5.5 inch rectangles. And we're going to attach it to this side, to the green side. And don't you love when you're working on something and everything just matches up perfectly? And that's because we've been doing our cutting right and our trimming, and we've squared our squares up. I had to learn the hard way about how important squaring up is. Just not my most favorite part. But it sure beats having everything wacky-dood and wonky. It's so nice when everything just fits together perfectly. So I guess I'll put up with a little bit of squaring for those few moments of perfection. And again, if you need to, pin. If you don't, don't. Those of you who know me, you're probably shocked. I'm not pinning. Isn't that crazy? But I am being a little bit extra careful with it. There we go. Last one. And then the fun part comes. I know, you're probably looking at all this going, I thought she said it was going to be a little bit more difficult. That part's coming. Don't worry. That part's coming. But you're going to love it. Okay, ignore that part. There we go. Now. I am using a little bit of a thinner fabric, and sometimes the machine just doesn't care for it. So I have to baby it. And of course, obviously, we're going to press it to the dark side. And there we go. Tell me that's not awesome. Yeah, I think so too. And that's going to go right there in the center. I know you're probably going, excuse me, what? How's that going to get there? We're going to do something called a partial seam. Sometimes it's called a Y seam. But basically, a partial seam is you're not sewing the whole seam. You're only sewing part of it. There are a number of patterns that call for this. So don't let this scare you. I've been avoiding it, but let's go ahead and jump in. Hexagons, for example, if you're putting a lot of hexagons together, you're going to have partial seams. And that just means you're, like in the hexagon case, like with hexagons, you're going to start sewing a 1/4 inch in and stop with a 1/4 inch left. In this case, I want to find my halfway mark. So I'm just going to, obviously that's 1.5 inches. It's a 3-inch block. We want 1.5 inches. I'm going to use a disappearing ink. And it's just going to show up a little darker. Now, and I don't think it matters which one you start with. But we're just going to sew to that mark. And this will be on the inside of the block. There's not going to be a lot of reinforcement seams on it, so we probably do need to backstitch a couple times. And we're just going to sew to our little darkened spot, our darkened mark. Back up. Alright, so let's go ahead and press that open. And you're going to notice we've got a little bit of a gap here. We're going to press that open. So far, so good. Now check that out. Look how great that fits together. So let's just sew these two pieces. Oh, messed up there. And this time we're going to sew all the way, from start to finish. This would be a great block for doing my leaders and enders. So no partial seam this time, it's a full seam all the way. Got a heavy foot there. And we're just going to press as we go. Okay, so let's press this. Again, I'm going to press it away from the seams. So far, so good. Yes. Now let's do this one. And again, all the way, from edge to edge. Alright, I just had the funniest thought. When I said to edge, I suddenly had visions of West Side Story, you know, with Tony and Riff, and it's womb to tomb and birth to earth. Sorry. I'm sorry, don't you guys, you know, suddenly get visions when a phrase or something? It makes you suddenly think of something else, and you're just kind of like, why did I think of that? Guess I need to watch West Side Story tonight. Oh, there we go. Watch it and make my kids give me comparisons between West Side Story and Romeo and Juliet. You know, how they had the party, how they had the wedding, how it mirrored. Edge to edge. Womb to tomb. Here we go. Guys, we are almost finished. Ladies, I am so excited. This is going to be nice. What do y'all think? So far, so good, yes? So let's press. And we're running out of areas that don't have a bunch of seams, so just do the best you can. And what I'm going to do this time, you can see how there's going to be some seam allowance right there where it gets folded under, that 1/4 inch. I want to stop. I want to make sure I've still got that 1/4 inch there. So we're going to start it right here. And so we're going to end a 1/4 inch away from the edge of the blue. And that is not a problem at all. And I'm just going to put a light little dot on my yellow to show where I need to stop at. Just a light one. It does not like these thinner fabrics. That's okay. But these colors show up so great that I really like them. I'm going to bring my blue flat out, because I don't want to seam over that folded edge. Now, I'm going to press it. All right, mistakes and everything. I can already find a couple. There we have it. Now, this is going to come this way. All right, so here's where we only stitched the halfway mark on our blue. So that's about right there. So we're going to start at the, and you can start either way. You can start on this side, you know, and go. Start on this side. I'm probably going to start up here. So I'm going to start at the edge here and just sew down to here. A little bit of reinforcement. We should be good to go. And I hope you all appreciate me letting you see all my mistakes and my errors. We ain't perfect. I'm okay if I have a few errors as long as my finished product looks oh, my foot. I'm okay with a few errors as long as my finished product looks halfway decent. Now I am going to pin this time. I said I haven't been. Oh yeah, and pinning it makes everything match up so much nicer. Look at that, see? Now I'm so much nicer lining up. I was afraid I'd really goofed. But no, not much more than usual. No. I'm still not that great with my whole triangle points being, you know, that awesome. It takes practice. So do me a favor. Forgive yourselves too. Don't hold yourself to such a high standard. I mean, hold yourself to a high standard. But understand that sometimes the machine hiccups, sometimes you hiccup. Sometimes, you know, there's so many different factors, and give yourself some break. Of course, the last seam she does beautifully. All right, I'm coming up onto that blue square now, so I'm just going to keep on sewing down to where I'd sewn before. I'm going to do a little bit of a back stitch. Guess what? We're done. Let's press it and then take a look. So, what do y'all think? By the way, this is my very first one of these. I'm pretty happy. Not too bad, huh? I see some areas where I can improve, but I like it. So there we have it, the Hope of Hartford. It looks a little complicated, but as you can tell, it really isn't. It's fairly simple. You just can't be afraid of that partial seam. Like I said, I wanted to do something different with you guys today, and that was getting a block and trying it for the very first time right in front of you. It's not perfect. I like it. This was fun. Didn't take that long. And you guys got to see how, you know, you can do it. I guess that's what I wanted to. The number one thing to get across is you can do it. I hope you have enjoyed this video. I hope that it has sent away some fears of trying some new things. I hope you're inspired. Be sure to inspire someone else today. Have y'all ever heard the story of the crabs? You've got 2 crabs in a bucket. If you have 1 crab in that bucket, it will climb out. But you know what happens when you put 2 crabs in there? They keep pulling each other down. So they're both for supper. So let's try to build each other up instead of tearing each other down. You can find us on Facebook at Sewing and Crocheting for Beginners, also Crazy Dave's Crew, and cdcrew.com. I sincerely hope you're having a wonderful day, a wonderful week, and we will see you next time right here on Crazy Dave's Crew. Thank you so much for watching.